Welcome to the GCN Tech Show. This week, it's myself and Connor again.
And you'll be pleased to know that I have my clothes on this week, thankfully.
Thank goodness for that. Anyway, we've got loads this week, including the new Hammerhead Karoo 2, new chain tech, new Castelli kit for Team Ineos, a new lightweight bike, new Boa dials, your upgrades, the bike vault, and our main talking point.
Could the Tour de France be won on a bike that costs under $1,000?
On to our main talking point then, and the Tour de France is just around the corner. And this has got us thinking here at GCN. Would it be possible to win the Tour de France on a bike that costs just £1,000, euros, or dollars?
I mean, personally, Ollie, I couldn't win the Tour on an e-bike, if I'm honest. I mean, I think I'd need a motorbike, and even then I'd probably be struggling. But what about the world's top riders? Take Egan Bernal, for instance. Imagine he had no other choice. Could he win the Tour de France on a bike that costs under £1,000, dollars or euros? What do you reckon?
Okay, so before we dive into the yes or no, Connor, let's think about what someone like Bernal would sacrifice to his rivals if he were on a 1K bike. And I think the biggest thing is going to be weight. Now, I don't think it's going to be a huge amount because, well, the weight limit is set at 6.8 kilograms by the UCI. So what kind of bike could he potentially get for a K?
So my pick, Ollie, for Bernal would be the Canyon Endurance AL 6.0. Now, this comes in at €999, just under the magic €1,000 barrier that we're talking about, and it weighs 8.5 kilos. So in terms of weight, you would be sacrificing 2 kilos of extra weight when you're going up those climbs, which doesn't really sound like much, and you know what, it isn't much for most everyday riders, but when you're at the Tour, when you're against riders that are at the top of their game, 2 kilos is turning into a bit of a big margin in my opinion. Okay, right, take Bernal's reported weight of 60 kilos and a ride which he recently uploaded to Strava, a few stats, okay? So I found this, he managed about 390 watts for 11 minutes. Factor the bike into that calculation and the watts per kilo is around 5.8 watts a kilo. Now, factor in the additional 2 kilos of the €1,000 bike and that becomes around 5.7 watts a kilo. So it's a small difference, you know, only 0.1 watts a kilo, but factor that into the Tour de France across the whole length of a 3-week Grand Tour, all the elevation gain, and it quickly adds up to quite a large margin.
Well, I would certainly say that the weight would be significant, but what about components? So that Canyon Endurance comes with Tiagra 4700, which is a mechanical 10-speed group set, and it certainly has, you know, slightly slower shifting than the electronic group sets like Di2 and SRAM ETAP and EPS from Campagnolo, and is just 10-speed rather than the 11 or 12-speed that his rivals would have. And while this would make a difference, I personally feel that I don't think it would be decisive. You know, the sort of lower end group sets like Tiagra and, well, middle range group sets like 105 are so good now that, yeah, I just don't think, although it would make a difference, I don't think it would be decisive.
I agree. 10-speed Tiagra 4700 is more race focused than ever, and I really don't think that Bernal would notice the difference. Also, the Canyon AL is of course aluminium, but I don't think it's an issue either, because you know what? Aluminium is awesome. I raced on an alloy frame at the first half of the 2016 season. I tell you what, it really surprised me. It was comfortable, lightweight, and it handled surprisingly well. I was really surprised actually, and I tell you what, even Russell Downing liked to use my frame from time to time. But I did love climbing on the alloy frame, and I tell you what, I'd be open to convincing Bernal to give it a go too. So, you know, Egan, if you need a team talk about racing on an alloy frame, yeah, okay, I'm your man. No, yeah.
Yeah, you know what, Connor? I think Egan Bernal would have a significant chance, but you've got to consider that his aluminium frame and wheels isn't going to be quite as aerodynamic, which is going to cost him a little bit more on the flat and on downhills. His drivetrain isn't going to be quite as efficient as a Dura Ace one, which again will cost him a few watts. And perhaps the most significant difference to a lightweight rider is going to be those extra couple of kilograms in the mountains. And all other things being equal, if you had hypothetically 2 riders that were the same fitness, then that extra 2 kilograms would be the difference between them in terms of who won. But the other thing to consider, I guess, is the time trial, because unfortunately, a £1,000 euro dollar bike is never going to cut it in the time trial against a super time trial bike used by the other competitors. Aero tech is so important at the top end of the sport that minutes would be lost there. That said though, if we sort of ignore the time trials, if you had a rider that was head and shoulders above the competition and they were on a £1,000 euro dollar bike, I think they could potentially win the Tour de France. You know, maybe if you think of Chris Froome in 2016, finishing a couple of minutes typically ahead of his rivals on summit finishes, I think it's definitely possible, but they would have to be a level above. Tell you what though, it's not the only choice of bike either. There are a lot of bikes around for that price point, and another example would be the Orbea Avant H60D, which retails for €899, meaning you've got €101 potentially in our little game to spend on upgrades. We love upgrades. I personally would go for some tubeless tyres. Increase your puncture protection, that's going to be useful in the Tour, and better rolling resistance, save you some watts. Brilliant. What would you go for, Connor?
I'd upgrade the saddle ollie. I couldn't imagine doing a 3-week Grand Tour on a saddle that I wasn't used to or that I didn't quite kind of like. I'd have to upgrade it to the Physique Arione, my personal favourite. I think it's got to be done, and if you've got the spare coin to do it, then well, you may as well. Any other upgrades? Well, I think I'd just keep the money, to be honest, for beers. You've got 2 rest days, so you want a bit of spare cash to treat yourself, let the hair down a little bit.
Beers? Anyway, I think we should have a poll in the app. You can click on screen, it'll take you through to it now. Do you think the Tour could be won on a €1,000 bike? Yes or no? Let us know your thoughts. Also, let us know your opinions down in the comments section as well. We'd love to hear them, and we'll announce the results of the poll next week. Time now for Hot Tech, and first up this week is the new Hammerhead Karoo 2. You may remember we showed a sneak peek of this unit a few weeks back, but it's finally here. It's been revealed, and we've been sent one here at GCN so that I can do a first look video and show all the features and get hands-on with it and do a video for you guys. So stay tuned for that. I'm really looking forward to getting my grubby little hands on the new Hammerhead because it promises to be a huge step forward in bike computer tech. So first up, it's said to have the highest definition screen ever on a bike computer, but also much improved navigation and mapping functionality too. In short, it looks to be an improved and higher spec version of the original Hammerhead, but in a smaller, more compact and sleeker design, which is great to hear. And I'm informed by Hammerhead that the price of the unit is going to be $399, and customers can put down a $99 down payment to secure one of the first batch of the new units, which will ship in October.
Now, how about this for a bike helmet? This is a 3D printed helmet inspired by 3D structures, Voronoi structures, which are widely seen in nature in things such as turtle shells and animal bones. And the structure allows the helmet to absorb maximal impact with minimal materials. The combination of parametric design and bionics achieves a claimed effective external stabilization system when the helmet is hit by an external force, as the honeycomb design is able to redirect the external impacts from the center of the helmet to other areas, and therefore creates a more stable and effective distribution of force. Under the web-like external design, the helmet features an internal hard hat component made from carbon fiber, which only increases the strength of the helmet further. And you know what? I just think this design looks incredible. I'm strangely fascinated by it, actually.
Next up, we have got some hot new kit from Castelli. Team Ineos will be starting the Tour de France this Saturday, but they will be known as Team Ineos Grenadiers. The coolest thing about this is that the riders get some rather swish new Castelli kit, which I think looks blooming great. So out is the sort of crimson red of the standard kit, and in is this kind of grey navy blue. I'm colourblind, so it just looks cool, with a red stripe on the back of it, and I think it looks really smart. But what do you guys think? Do you prefer this over the standard crimson kit? Vote in the poll now, hot or not. Keen to see what you think.
What about this then? The social media bike stand, I'm calling it. Get the perfect shot of your bike without a stand getting in the way and ruining your shot. Consisting of recycled acrylic with some handy cutouts, the shadow stand is highly portable and it's actually small enough to fit in your rear jersey pocket. It weighs just 16 kilos and with careful positioning of your crank arm, it will hold the pedal axle in the apex of the shadow stand. So with the clear body, you won't see it in the photos and you have a nice beautiful shot of your bike in the open countryside. Now, shadow stand do say that you shouldn't use it in high winds because it can be a little bit unstable. So I'm not too sure if I can get away with using it in Ireland, but I think it's a great idea and one us GCN presenters would be very, very grateful for, especially when we're out on shoots and we're rummaging around trying to find a stick or a twig to prop our bikes up with. Definitely solves that problem.
Some hot new bike tech now, and Factor has just released a new updated version of its lightweight O2 climbing bike. The bike is said to weigh just 677 grams in an unpainted size 54, which is very light. And there are 3 different paint options available, which are said to add just 20 to 45 grams, depending on the one you go for, which is really impressive because paint normally adds considerably more weight than that. So yeah, it's very light. I have to say, it's very light for a disc brake frame set as well, and it looks nice too. But the intriguing thing for me is that Israel Startup Nation are sponsored by Factor in 2020, which means could this be the race bike of Chris Froome in 2021? I guess we'll have to wait and see, but to the best of my knowledge, I'm not sure if it's been signed yet that Factor will be the bike sponsor for Israel Startup Nation next year, so it might be something else, but I guess we'll have to wait and see and find out. Some hot shoe retention system tech now. BOA, known for its dials, has just released some new ones. So the BOA IP1 dials have been replaced by a new one called the LI2 dial, which is said to be lighter and lower profile than the previous ones, but they can still be loosened and tightened by turning clockwise or anti-clockwise, making, well, adjustments on the go easy. With the new dials being lower profile on the shoe, it's thought that they're going to be less easily damaged in a crash as they're less likely to catch on something should the worst happen. Also, I'm thinking that being lower profile means that your frontal area is going to be reduced slightly, which could make you a teensy-weensy bit more aerodynamic, perhaps saving like 1/100th of a watt, which, well, I mean, I can dream, can't I? That'd be good. They're also said to be made from more sustainable materials, which can only be a good thing for the environment. Unfortunately, they're not available on any shoes to buy at the moment, but I am reliably informed that all the major shoe brands will be incorporating them very shortly, and apparently the pros have them as well. So keep an eye out at the Tour de France on Saturday. And finally, in hot tech this week, we've got a cool story from Cycling Industry News that has reported on a new company called Motion Labs making a big breakthrough in chain technology. The new chain design is called a link drive and is said to use a new method of dual engagement to distribute transferred power much more effectively than a standard roller design. According to the CEO, Marcel Fowler, this results in a step change increase in efficiency. It's also said to have a longer lifespan, require less maintenance, be quieter and lighter as well. Now, well, I think this is really fascinating. Personally, I'd love to see one of these in the metal and see what I did there. Try it out for myself. Fortunately, it's going to be available, well, compatible with all existing major drivetrain brands. Cool. More hot tech next week. Cha-ching!
Right, it's time for screw riding upgrades, buy upgrades, where you guys submit the best upgrades that you've done to your bike or your equipment for the chance to win the ultimate prize here in GCN. It's a cycling cap, but I did have one to show you. It's in the wash, don't worry, you'll be getting a new cap. Promise, brand new spanking new cap. But you better send your upgrades in, come on. Right, anyway, let's see what last week's upgrades were, well, shall we? Just catch up on everything, see how the votes went. And I tell you what, last week's upgrades were a very close run affair. Possibly the closest I've seen, actually, since I've helped Ollie out with the tech show. I tell you what, Nicholas Alex's old gold Peugeot restoration has taken it 52% to 48% from Bellois Crisp Blue Motor Became Restoration. So Oh, congratulations, Alex. Right, on to this week's upgrades on the show. And I tell you what, this week it looks like kind of a battle of the gold chain. We love a gold chain here at GCN, don't we? Okay, right, first up, let's see. It's from Eric Banks. And I tell you what, I haven't even seen the second upgrade, but this one, this is incredible. I love this. One of my favorites, actually, since I've been on the GCN Tech show. So Eric Banks, this is an upgraded Bianchi Eros, 9-speed, triple Campagnolo Mirage, and she's upgraded it to a Tiagra 10-speed. Now, there probably will be a few that may disagree with the change in group set choice, but brand new Tiagra 10-speed on an old frame is just mega. It's changed all the finishing kit to Adidas with Brooks Cambium C17 saddle and upgraded the wheels to Super Team 50mm. I also added a wolf tooth to my rear derailleur to get 1140 cassette on the bike. Good choice. I like your style. 40 tooth cassette at the back is brilliant. Epic. So you see the first bike there, and then you go over to the second, and it's just, look at it. I love it. I think there's something about an old retro frame with all new components, modern components. Just that mix and the blend just makes the bike look fantastic. Oh, unbelievable. I love the wheels as well. Brilliant. Oh, and the gold chain. That's what I'm saying. See, it's a battle of a gold chain this week. But one of the features I think is my favourite part of the bike are the pink gear and brake outers. Beautiful. Just that. It might not work on another frame, but I think with the Celeste frame of that colour, it just goes, doesn't it? So congratulations, brilliant upgrade. But get voting on the GCN app if it's your favourite this week. Right, on to the next upgrade, shall we? And this one is a Trek. Beautiful upgrade as well, actually. This is from Andre Stampf, and he has upgraded his Trek X02 frame from 2010, which was his first road bike. Mega, congratulations. Now, it's a cyclocross frame, but we will ignore that. Earlier this year, he painted it black and red. Back then, he was pleasantly surprised how easy it was, so he's decided to paint it again in July. This time, he's gone for black and gold, and he's upgraded the 9-speed cyclocross group to an 11-speed 105 group set and removed the chimney on the headset. Nothing wrong with a chimney every now and again, but I know why you'd want to get rid of it. As a reminisce to the old colour scheme, he's left the red details and the match is really good. And of course, a gold chain. Oh, beautiful. I like a gold chain on a kind of black and gold bike, and it's a stunning paint job, actually. I really like it. Beautiful. Beautiful with the Trek, like how the Trek's in gold, the chain's in gold. I like how you've left the red cables on. Again, we've got two bikes with outer gear and brake cables in kind of funky colours this week. So brilliant, love it. I think the colour scheme's a lot better than the black and red, actually. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Both two thrilling upgrades. It'll be interesting to see which one takes it, actually. The battle of the gold chain. Anyway, get voting on the GCN app, everyone.
It's time now for my favourite part of the show, the Bike Vault, where you guys submit pictures of your bikes and we judge them to be either nice or super nice. If they're super nice, we ring the bell and they get committed to the vault for eternity. But if you disagree with our judgments, which, let's be honest, you often do, don't worry, you can vote in the app and judge the bikes yourself to be either super nice or nice. But let's get going. First up this week, we have got Oni Seb, who has submitted this picture of his beautiful Canyon Air Road in Movistar colours. And he's got some rather swish 65mm DT Swiss wheels on there as well. I am liking that. Lined up his crankwell. I like the colour palette of that particular image. It's good. Good colour palette going on there. No, I mean, it's very neat, but it's just a beautiful bike. I love those colours. It's quite far away, so I'm struggling to see the detail. I'm having to squint at the screen. But, I mean, it looks like you've got, I mean, that might be trying to hide dirt by a good tactic, though. Fair play. It's the kind of thing I would do. Looks very clean, though. You haven't lined up your wheels, but everything else is so nice. Yeah, it's super nice, isn't it? It's in the vault. Good job, man. Right, next up, we have got Civic Demo. Civic Demo. Which he says, oh, he's got his rally sensor here. 1987 vintage bike, beautiful. He's not lined up his cranks, but that's because he's using his pedal on the curb to hold the bike up. That's an acceptable crank position. I'm authorising that from here on out if people are unsure about that. He's left his saddlebag on and his bottle, but again, they're rules that can be bent. there is bending of those rules allowed. He's lined up, I think, no, he hasn't lined up his wheels properly. He's lined up the front one. I mean, it's a really nice bike, but what's disturbing me about this is that rear mech. It looks like either the spring in your rear mech is broken or your chain's too long. In which case, I'm afraid it can't be a super nice. It's a nice bike. It's a nice bike. Close, but no, I mean, that is a beautiful bike. It's a beautiful frame. Yep, nice. Next up, we have got AA Villarico. AA_Villarico. And they have submitted their Cervelo S3 disc from 2020. Look at that, wow. Oh God. Such a nice, I mean, that is a really nice bike, but non-drive side. What's going on with the crank position? Wonky like wheel, the wheels at like a jaunty angle. You've just not even bothered. You've just not even tried. It's such a nice bike as well. Nice. Next up, we've got WJ Robinson, who has submitted their Curve Belgie Spirit Titanium bike. That is very smart. Bit weird that you've only got one bottle in the rear cage and not in the front cage, but it is drive side. We've got the crank in the nice 3 o'clock position. I mean, it's a nice photo. It's not fully side on, but again, we allow artistic license. There is interpretation of the bike vault rules and criteria is allowed. It's nice. I mean, I think that's a really nice bike. I'm going to give that one a super nice. I like that. That's a very. I'd quite like one of those. It's super nice. Looks like you've parked it outside a rather nice bike shop as well. Although we don't know where it is. I'm guessing it's in Belgium somewhere, judging by your name. And last up in the bike vault this week, we have got Adrian Hollamby 7150, who submitted this Kinesis Athene Evo. That is really nice. Also, looks like he's put a fair amount of Ronseal on his fence behind him. It looks like it could be due a coat in a few months' time if we have a harsh winter, but the fence is in good condition. Also, good to see that there's no weeds coming through your gravel as well in your garden. Good job, man. But the Kinesis Athene Evo, that is a cool bike. And I got a lot of time for this because that's an aluminium frame, but like a top spec aluminium frame. So rather than go for kind of like a budget carbon frame and maybe a lesser group set, he's done what I would do, which is go for top end aluminium frame and put really good bits on it. So he's got Ultegra on there, and he's got his crank in the right position, nice pedals, loving his Schwalbe tan sidewall tyres. Also put some giant SLR wheels on there, it looks like too. Pro Vibe stem, like it. That is smart. Also, extra points, I would say, for having a bike that's not just stock bits that you've kind of put on yourself, like your own mods and your own little sort of changes to it. That's good. I mean, it's easy. I mean, the wheel, he's done everything right. Wheels are aligned. Saddlebag's still on there, but it's a nice, neat one, and it matches the stem. Actually, no, it's super nice. Easy. Thanks, man. Thanks for making my life easy. More Bike Vault next week. Unfortunately, it's now time for the end of the show. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you like what we do and would like to support the channel, then please give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, as it really does help. Also, I'm really excited about the Tour de France starting on Saturday, and if you are too, then you can watch it using the GCN Race Pass, although I do have to stress that territory restrictions do apply. We'll post a link down in the description so that you can see what's available where you are, and also the full calendar of racing too. But if you do have access to live racing where you are, then you will also have access to long form highlights in the Race Pass, and all Race Pass territories will also have access to short form highlights and the Breakaway, which is going to be our highlights and sort of analysis show, and is going to feature pundit experts like Bradley Wiggins and 4-time green jersey winner Sean Kelly. It's going to be great. I can't wait. So until then, I'll see you next time. I'm going to go for a bike ride now, but see you later. Bye.